Om Shanti. First of all, I just want to say how appreciative and honored I am to be with all of you on this, particularly on this topic of how I talk to Baba. When I was asked about this topic, I had to think back to how is it that I talk to Baba? And as I was reflecting upon it, I was looking at different phases in my life and how I talk to Baba has shifted over time. When I was a child, you know, 9, 10, 11 years old, even as a teenager, um, I used to find school very stressful because I wanted to get high marks. And I remember that I particularly had difficulty with math, science, and so I had to work very hard studying, and there were tears sometimes. And I remember my Lokik mother and father, who were both BKs, would always say to me, go to Baba's room. You know, we had a Baba's room in our home, and they said, just talk to Baba. And I would have tears in my eyes. And I don't know what they thought talking to Baba was, but for me, I would literally walk up to the translate that we had in Baba's room and physically start talking. I knew Baba was not omnipresent, but I had a lot on my mind that I needed to say. You know, everything from why do I have to study to isn't destruction coming soon? How is math going to help me? But what I was doing was just having this honest conversation with Baba, but also building a relationship. And I think that was the guidance that my mother and father were trying to build, that foundation in me, was that the first one I go to is Baba. You know, it's not call your friend, complain to your friends. It was go to Baba first. And how I used to do it, I acknowledge or admit, was a little comical, probably for my parents to witness, because they'd see me physically talking to a picture. But what it did was it became this where I would go to. Any difficulty, I would just go to Baba's room. And if I needed to say it out loud, I would say it out loud. But that was my go-to person, you would say. And then because I was building a relationship with Baba, an honest relationship. Then as I was getting older and I had to move on my own to Washington, D.C. for studies and then my job, I remember feeling a bit isolated, not having very much company, away from the center that I grew up with in New York under Mohini Didi. And I remember that I was feeling a little disconnected inside. My heart was feeling heavy. And it was a time that Daddy Janki was coming to our retreat center in New York called Peace Village. And I remember going to Daddy just very quietly and said, Daddy, I need to talk to you. I said, I like my studies. I like the service that I'm doing, my Lokik job, but I'm feeling a little lonely inside. I'm feeling disconnected. And Daddy put her hand on my heart and said, whenever you feel disconnected, just put your hand on your heart and remind yourself and say, I am Baba's child. And to this day, I still do that. because what it did was, in that moment, it was almost as if my heart got retouched, got full again, because the simplest statement, I am Baba's child. If I sit with that thought, it reminds me that I'm not alone. I am in the greatest company that I could ever have. And and that physical motion, still I do. Because what it reminds me is, no matter where I am, no matter what the situation is, that connection, that conversation with Baba is always there. And it was a very special moment for me with Dadi, but also she brought me, kind of reminded me of that relationship that Baba and I have. Because it's very easy when you're away from the company of the Brahmin family to get pulled. And I could see that there are moments where the influence can be there from the world around us. And I didn't want that to happen. But when you feel almost that pulling and pushing, you need that extra protection. And so I felt that just saying, I am Baba's child, reignites that conversation with Baba and me. And, over time, we go through challenges. And one thing that I was noticing about myself was that the more I keep Baba in my company, the more that I keep Baba as my companion. My mother and father used to remind me and say, just imagine that you have an elderly relative with you at all times. How would you speak? How would you speak to them? What would be your behavior? What would be your words that you speak? You would always want them to be the most respectful, the most honest, the most elevated. And so for me, I keep Baba in my company in that same way, where when I leave for work in the morning to go to my office, I'll first take drishti from Baba's picture and then say, let's go. I don't leave Baba behind. I said, now we have to go to work. And so it's about keeping Baba as my companion and keeping a conversation continuously going, and it's about making it elevated. And for a long time, I think my relationship with Baba, especially in my childhood, was one where I was still developing it, maybe at times felt a little ordinary. But I think the shift in how I spoke to Baba, the way I experienced a deeper relationship through conversation with Baba, came to a point where I realized I needed more honesty in myself. Sometimes we feel especially as a youth, you feel the pressure where everyone praises you, gives you blessings and say, oh, you're going to be a wonderful surrendered Kumari. You're going to go live in the center and do all these things. And I was thinking, but I want to continue working. I appreciate being able to live on my own, but also being able to do Baba's service. I appreciate the opportunity that Baba gives me for all the different ways that I can do service. And so for a long time, I was feeling the pressure of how everyone else's vision was for me. And it kind of made me feel a little distant at times, or feel resentful, because it didn't feel like my authentic self. And I was having a hard time, a difficult time expressing it, even to Baba, because I thought, what if I see my role differently than others, is that being disobedient? And what I had to do was really take time to reflect and ask myself a simple question. What is truly in my heart? And so I would ask myself, what is truly in my heart? And then I would hear the response. Then I would ask myself the same question again. What is truly in my heart? And wait for the response. I would then ask myself the same question a third time. What is truly in my heart? I was removing the layers, the expectations, and I was getting to the heart of what's really in my mind and really what I wanted to share with Baba. Because I learned that if I did not have honesty with myself, how could I have honesty with Baba? And so the way that I deepened my relationship and conversation with Baba was I had to be honest with myself. And I noticed that the more honest I was with myself, whether it be in a moment that I'm having right now, whether it be on something to do with service, whether it be an emotional challenge that I'm dealing with within myself, the only way I could be honest in my conversation with Baba was first to be honest with myself. And the process that I first started going through, it was emotional. It was difficult to see but it also made, and this was a big moment, it made me appreciate my Brahmin life because I didn't see how much I was getting from it. Because when you grow up as Baba's child, I barely remember the life before I was 9 years old. We can take this life for granted. We cannot always see the specialities and the beauty of this life because it's the life we've mostly always lived. But I wanted that relationship with Baba to be deeper. But in order to do that, I had to see myself for who I truly am and celebrate it and value it and say it's okay if I'm not like others. Baba reminds us we have our own unique parts and we all have our roles to play. And then the question is, am I ready to accept that role when it's in front of me? The way I talk to Baba is to be honest. And what is also important, once I came into that deep honesty with Baba, I was able to listen. I was able to hear the Murli differently. I was able to value Bapdada's meetings and Madhuban differently. Even my relationship with seniors has shifted. Because of that deepening in my conversation with Baba, I hear, I listen, I value more, but I also trust myself more. I trust my decision-making more. I trust what Baba tells me. And I can tell the difference between if it's me or if it's Baba's guidance, because it's almost like I've cleaned out that rubbish that has been collecting. But it's an everyday process. I need to talk to Baba every day, all day. That relationship is one of the heart. Many of the youth who've known me over the years will say that I used to be in my head a lot. I used to analyze and just think only from the head. But when I started to have that shifting conversation with Baba, it was the heart that was coming through more. And so now I can say that my conversations with Baba has shifted where it is from the heart. It is involving feelings, but very deep, clean, elevated feelings. But yes, I do have challenges throughout the day. We all do. I work with people from all over the world. Everyone has their sun scars. Everyone has their own challenges that they're trying to work through. And I have to say that lately, I've been seeing my relationship with Baba, particularly where I feel a difficult situation. I often hear myself saying to Baba, "You are my protection. You are the canopy. And I accept that protection." It's one thing to talk to Baba, but it's another thing to accept that love and accept the role Baba plays in your life. And so for me, it's being able to have the conversation from the heart because I'm honest with myself. Then to accept the love from Baba. You know, I grew up very much loved, but accepting Baba's love was a very big thing for me because I wanted to see myself as worthy. And he just wants us to be our true selves. And so I feel very fortunate, but it's an ongoing conversation. It's an ongoing relationship that I hold very dear to my heart. And so this is just a little bit that I wanted to share right now. Thank you. Om Shanti.
Manisha, that was pretty insightful in just those few minutes. I think this phrase was particularly powerful where you ask yourself 3 times, what is truly in my heart? I just wonder if I could touch on one thing that, I know being honest with the self you mentioned, I think is a big step in the relationship with Baba. What does it take to really be honest with the self? What does one have to do to reach that point where you're ready to be so directly honest with the self?
It's a very good question, Yogesh Bhai. And I'm trying to think back to that moment where I finally said, I need that honesty. On an external level, I think I was starting to feel at times a little heavy in the heart. Tears sometimes came out, but it was a way that was indicating I was ready for a change. I did a lot of writing during that time, and I had to be okay with seeing that maybe I might have had some doubts, I might have had some fears, but then after acknowledging, I had to give it to Baba immediately. And so I would spend a lot of time by myself in Baba's room. Some might say I looked a little isolated at times, but it was because I was still I could feel that a shift was needed. But I had to be ready to face what layers were starting to come out because the sun scars that sometimes I wasn't ready to admit I still needed to work through. And so I had to be ready to see the truth, but in a way where I knew Baba was protecting me. And so it was almost like accepting Baba's love as I was going through this process And I still ask that question to myself when I see myself having, I know Baba talked about recently in the Murli, I think it was Sunday, about having an off mood. It happens, you know? And I had to say, even in those moments where my mood might be a little off, I need to go, I need that process again because I need to remove it. And so I think the moment was to say, I need a change because I was not feeling good inside. My heart was heavy and I wasn't able to hear Baba. The Murli wasn't connecting and I was getting distracted. And so it kind of just felt like it's time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We'll come back to you at the end. And so now we'd like to move to our second panelist. I'm going to invite Sister Paulina to come on to the digital stage. And there she is. Big welcome to you, Paulina. And here's a little bit of background. Paulina's from Greece, and she's currently based at Global Corporation House in London, where she serves in various departments in the social media, taking care of the different events at Global House. She does some teaching there and also takes care of the youth activities. And she's been practicing Baba's Gyan for about the last 9 years or so. So big welcome to you, Paulina. We'd like to hear your secrets, how you talk to God.
Om Shanti, and thank you for the invitation. Nice to see you. So yes, as you said, I came to Gyan 9 years ago, and the time I came, I was surrounded by sisters and brothers who were like 20 years in Gyan, 30 years in Gyan, 40 years in Gyan. So I could say that time I was mostly observing what's happening around me. And I remember how my relationship with Baba started when one day I went to the kitchen and one sister was cooking there. And she has made a lot of variety of food. And I was a bit amazed. And I asked the sister, "Did you make all this yourself?" And she said, "No." I said, "Okay." And then she said, "I made all this with Baba." And I was thinking, what's happening now? So straight after that, I went to Baba's room. And I was looking Baba and Shiv Baba and Brahma Baba. And once I was looking Brahma Baba and then Shiv Baba again. And I was asking, who are you? Who are you? Because that time when I came to Gyan, I didn't have this deep relationship or connection. I was trying to build my relationship up with him. And I remember for the next period of time, I was just being in Baba's room or Amrit Vela from Amrit Vela, and then before Murli for half an hour meditation. And I was trying to figure out myself, who is Baba and who is Brahma Baba. And I remember I used to ask questions to both of them. Who are you? Where are you from? What are you doing? Why am I here with you? What do you want me to do? I had all these kind of questions in my mind. And that time, because in the center, it was a small center in Greece. It was like a Gita Patsala. I was the only student. So I was very lucky. I had all the focus on me. But at the same time, I could say I didn't have a big case to share, or I didn't have much experiences of service. I had my job, So my timetable was to go to work and then come back, and then again go to work and come back. So the first 4 or 5 years, my relationship with Baba was playful, I could say. And I could see the magic that Baba was doing at work mainly. Because whatever I could find difficult, then Baba somehow would make it happen at work. And I remember my first experiences, those days were full of light and full of love. And I used to wake up very early for Amrit Vela because I wanted to know exactly what's happening. And I wanted to know exactly what Baba can do through me. And I could say I started to see my Baba as my beloved and then as my friend. He would do any favors to me. He would make me progress at work. And I used to write a letter every day to Baba. I used to share my news. It was very personal relationship, like a relationship you have with a close friend. And I remember even my first year I went to Matuban, the first time I went to Matuban, I went myself. There was nobody to accompany me. So again, I remember I went into the 4 pilgrimages, History Hall, Tower of Peace, Baba's room, Baba's hut. And I used to ask Baba, what are you doing here? What did you do here? What am I supposed to do? So I used to get answers in my mind through experiences. And then my relationship changed because I moved from one place, from Greece, I moved to London and I moved to Global Cooperation House. And when I came here, then I had to experience a bit of challenges because I had to communicate with people. I have to, how can I say, not tolerate, but I couldn't say that something I don't like or I like to do. Like I had to surrender many things. I have to renounce also my comfort zone. And then I could see that I needed more. I needed something more from Baba. That the relationship friend wasn't enough. Something was missing. Because at the same time, I felt I had to somehow fill the gaps of relationships, like the relationship I had with my mother, or relationships I had with my father or my sister. All these relationships had to be replaced by Baba. And I have decided once I face a situation, difficult situation, or a situation that I couldn't manage myself, I could feel a pull from Baba to go into Baba's room. I could feel deep inside. So whenever something was happening, I was running to Baba's room. And I could feel, I was looking Baba into his eyes, and Baba was telling me, welcome, child. And I was so sad and disappointed. And I could feel Baba had a smile all the time. You know, and sometimes it's like you feel that someone is playful with you. And I would say, oh, Baba, you are smiling, and I am so disappointed. So what to do now? And Baba, many times Baba would open his arms and give sweet drishti at me and take away all my sorrow and give me more happiness. Like Baba said today in the Muli, Baba is the remover of sorrow and the bestower of happiness. So this continued for a long time. Whenever something is happening, then I would go straight to Baba's room and I would have this sweet conversation with Baba. And so that moment, my experience was like Baba is my father who takes care of me, and Baba would would take away my sorrow, and he would give me something sweet. And then after a few minutes, my experience is that Baba becomes the mirror, that, okay, I'm disappointed. I feel all the negative feelings, rejection, disrespect, but I have to learn something. So Baba would become my mirror to see what I have to change within myself. And that was the next relationship, that Baba is my teacher, that Baba is teaching me. And Baba would teach me through the murlis, the points, the murlis that I know I should keep, and I should write 1-2 points of the murli and keeping in my mind during the day. And then after a while, I would experience that I should follow this. So Baba is my Satguru. I should follow his Srimad and his direction so I can go beyond all the difficulties. And these relationships became more firm, that I would go immediately in Baba's room and experiences and have these experiences. Then I remember one time, it was last year, I was traveling to India, and it was a group of us, BK sisters, like 10, 15 BK sisters. And somehow something happened, and somebody said something, and I felt something. And that moment, I realized, oops, I don't have a Baba's room to go because I was somewhere outside. There was no center, there was no Baba's room. I had no phone to call a senior or something. So on a physical level, there was no support. And then that was a realization that, okay, I have Baba's room, but my relationship should be more deep. I should have a deeper relationship with Baba. And then as I was sitting there, a bit frozen, then suddenly I felt that Baba was giving me a shower of fortune. Baba was reminding me of my fortune, that where I was, where I am at the moment, all my attainments, all my virtues, all my powers, how much I have changed from the time I came to Gyan. So suddenly Baba filled my mind with these happy and positive thoughts. And then I realized that, okay, Baba can do that. I don't have to be dependent on a physical level to see Baba on a picture or to be in Baba's room. But I have to keep Baba in my intellect and practice this during the day or on a particular day during the time. And so after that, again, my relationship changed with Baba. And I feel every time I go through something, there is a need to see Baba in a different way, or to see Baba, or to see me in a different way with Baba. Because I don't think Baba changes. I have to change. So I have to change my mind and my sanskars. And another thing that I would like to share with you, and my recent experience, is how Baba um, sees me as a soul, and how Baba gives me this the self-respect that the soul needs, that I need, because for me the soul needs the respect, and trying to get the respect from outside situations, from people, via praise or via success in service, it's not happening. And only in front of Baba, I can have this experience of being full of self-respect, and and have the experience of whole, that the soul is full, that the soul is full of powers and virtues. So, and I know that Baba has said in the Murli many times that you have to experience the swing of Baba's lap, and you have to experience the swing of happiness, and you can play with me in whatever form you choose to do. And he has said, play with me as a friend, play with me as a companion, as your relative, as your child. So building a relationship with Baba is, how can I say, is not interesting, but it's nice to explore its relationship with him. And what Baba gives as a return is what the soul needs at every time, at different times. And also sitting in front of Baba many times after after a long day, or after a lot of pressure, or after too much work, then Baba gives, it's like Baba takes everything away and comes back to the point of light, and to the awareness, the point, that I am a point, I am a soul, and this is how I should be, and this is how I should practice being bodiless. Do I have more time?
Yes, if you'd like. If you'd like 2 or 3 minutes more, it's fine.
Okay. So another way that I developed my relationship with Baba is by writing. From the beginning, I used to write a lot. And once I was writing whatever I needed, the next day Baba would fulfill that, or the same day Baba will fulfill that. And I realized, like the sister was sharing before, that honesty is something that I need to build inside, because Baba has said I don't have to consider myself to be too clever. I have to be honest with Baba, so Baba can take away all the impurity from the soul. And Baba is pleased with an honest heart. So I think honesty is important for me as well. And through writing to Baba is when I reveal myself to Baba. Whatever I am, however I am, this is how it is. And always Baba would appreciate and would give whatever I need. Yes, this is what I wanted to share.
Thank you, Paulina. I certainly agree about the writing part, especially. It's such a powerful exercise to do. I think also what you were mentioning was about how the relationship with Baba matures. As he mentioned, he can't always be in Baba's room. He can't always have a senior person to call. But you mentioned about that realization at that moment that there's no physical support, and then the subtle becomes more important and meaningful. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, and we'll come back to you again at the end. And so I would like to come to our third panelist, and I'd like to invite our dear brother Piyush to come on to the digital stage. So there he is, my old friend Piyush Bhai. A big welcome to you. And here's
Thank you, Yogesh bhai.
a little bit about Piyush. So he's based in Dubai, and he learned meditation at the age of 4. And then he's been actively practicing Raj Yoga for about 15 years or so. And he also facilitates Baba's programs for kids, for young adults, and also for professionals. He's also a green team member of the BK Environment Initiative and has been part of the UN Climate Change Conference since about 2012. So a lot packed in already into these short years. So Piyush Bhai, please take the digital stage and let's hear your secrets.
So thank you, Yogesh bhai. As you just said, good to see old friend. And I think, yeah, that's my rapport with you. One of that is of a good friend, brother, and even someone who I at times, need to nudge or ask something. I do that. Especially we have traveled a couple of times and we had some good conversations. So that's the company is what I really love about the family. My relationship with God or Baba, as topic is, I would tell, is grew or became better after my understanding that, so as you guys heard that I started practicing meditation since the age of 4, but it was only around, once I finished my schooling around the age of 20. That's when I started to really decide that how do I move on this journey. And being someone who's from childhood, as Nadisha mentioned, in the family, you have the peer pressure sometimes, or people expectations. So similar, but not so much. But it was always there that I didn't want someone to force me to tell what to do. Luckily, my parents have been flexible in that. Um, I remember going after a gap of 10 to 12 years to Abu, and I went to Gyan Sarovar, and I know I got the ring, after a long time. So when I was speaking to Sheelu Ben, and she's asked me something on the similar lines, what do you call Baba, or how do you treat him? I said, well, just like God. She's like, no, you have to create a relationship with him. I said, well, I don't know how to really do that. You can guide me. She's like, how many days you're here for? I said, well, about 10 days. She's like, try to build or forge a relationship in these 10 days yourself. And I remember, so I was on my own that time. I went with my mother. She was doing her stuff. I was roaming around my own. So I remember taking a cab and going all around the Gyan Sarovar, Guru Shikhar, etc. So everywhere I went, I was trying to ask myself, what did she mean by create a relationship? How do we create this? Well, you're supposed to worship him, you're supposed to, follow his principles. But, relationship, I don't think I can talk to a frame or a picture or point of light if I have to describe the three ways. So I was always in this thoughts. I remember one of the days I was in the afternoon, decided to walk from, I went to Pandavavan, and from there I decided to walk to Global Hospital. It was a nice weather, and it was maybe about a bit cloudy. It was like that kind of weather. So when I'm walking, I was extreme. I mean, there was extreme silence. I felt just I could hear the tree sounds. I mean, there was no birds, nothing, and I was like, okay, I started to feel a bit whether am I lost or something. This was my first time doing this walk. So that's when I was like, when I was small, anything wrong used to go. I used to cross my fingers like this and start praying or start hoping, oh God, please be with me, this type. So I was doing that, walking, and I'm doing this. And then I'm like thinking, hold on, she's talking about creating a relationship. This is the time. So I said, oh God, please be my security guard. I very well remember this line. And I was walking, and suddenly I felt from inside that, there is someone with me with a stick behind walking with me. I'm not faking it, but I just felt it. And my shoulders started to be confident. I started to walk, and I started to enjoy the walk. So then, you will find sometimes dogs on the street or the cows, but I saw a couple of dogs, and I thought, okay. But the moment I walked ahead, I saw those guys also walking along with me. And they are not looking at me, but they're walking beside me. I was like, okay, this is interesting. I'm saying about we walked about 300 meters, we would have walked together in silence. So there were two dogs and me, and we are walking. And I know when I reached Global Hospital, and there was someone I met, and I told him something, and I forgot about the security guard thing. It was after a couple of days, I would have met again Shilu Didi, and she asked me, so did you find a relationship or did you forge a relationship? I said, yeah, I remember the incident. I went to um, Global Hospital. I was walking. So I thought I'll make him my security. So I did that. So she's like, then what happened? And I just told her like this. So she laughed and she said, good, you started at least. I also laughed and I felt, well, it sounded so kiddish and I felt it didn't sound practical to me. It wasn't until a few months later that I started to start journaling and start to be writing, because I wasn't much of a journal person till that age. I was more of a reader. And as I started to journal and everything, I recalled this moment and I journaled this moment of that walk. And then I thought, okay, if I can create that kind of relationship, what other relationships I'm missing in my life? So one was, at times when I was doing my master's study. So at times I made him a tutor, and at times I saw different kinds of relationship bonds I was. So my mother told me one thing, and I still follow it till date. And it's a very good saying in English, which says, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach, right? So my mom told me, if ever you want to speak anything to Baba, offer him bhog. At bhog, he listens. So this English saying was very good to me. I related this 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. I said, okay, good. I'm not going to be cooking. I'm going to be giving me the food. I'll offer it. She's like, even if you don't know how to cook, what you do is offer a fruit or dry fruits. I said, makes sense. I'm ready for that. And that's where I felt his, because I'm calling him a male form, his and my relationship improved because I believed, well, he loves to eat. I'm small that time, I'm saying the young years again, and I enjoyed that. I said, good, we match. So sometimes I used to tell mom, I'm saying this at the age of, I'm around 20, 21, yeah. I would tell her, make this kind of food today for him. And she's like, well, you're grown up, you can do it yourself. You have to learn cooking. That made me learn cooking to create this bond. So I started to YouTube to learn cooking so I can offer bhog, so that I can build a relationship, so that I can talk to him and solve my problems. You see where I'm going. I'm creating a formula. I've been a maths accounting guy, so that's where it comes from. So for me, this is how that connection started. So challenges at job, sit at Bhog, tell him this is happening. You have to understand. Maybe you have to be my boss now, or you have to be my HR and help me out. And every time it used to work. Sometimes I used to try without the Bhog. It wasn't working. Well, I'm just saying this is for me. It was, and I learned more recipes. Recently, I have developed a taste for tofu. So I have mastered it, I would say proudly. So the first time I made tofu was in the COVID, different ways. The subject is not about that, but the subject is about I offered him first after making it. And believe me, that day after that, it was a very, I don't know, something was happening in that day. Something was not right. I wasn't feeling great. COVID was a bit dull time. After offering him tofu, everyone in the family ate. From that moment, I offered him till the next day. I was just feeling like a bubbly feeling or a kangaroo feeling to just jump around, hop around, be light, as if some kind of stone was removed from my stomach. I don't know what. But I then recalled again. So that is where I think COVID helped me to realize one of my biggest bond with him is this kind of bond. So then I realized what kind of a relationship I'm setting up with him. One of the biggest or the best bonds which I have with him is as my friend, a friend who is, I can share openly, as both the sisters said, being honest, but also treating him actually as a friend. So there are times where I'm driving and there is traffic, I'm humming a song. I would end up saying, I will literally do this. I will look at the right. There's no one in the passenger seat. I'll say, what do you think of this song? Do you like it? Do you think it suits your system? Can we mix it up? I mean, the BKs will accept it. I just try to be a bit cheesy, if that has to be the word. And I enjoy that connection because that way I don't feel it's working for me, is that I have to hide any part of me, because there are a lot of parts of me which might not be right. There are many parts of me which might be very right. But for me, am I being what I am inside out? What I think, what I learn or study, the value systems, am I the same when I'm talking to anyone? Can they feel that vibe? That's very important to me, because one of the reasons I'm in this path is I created, as I said, before the relationship with God, I realized that I started to create a relationship with the family. So for me, the BK family is my biggest strength. They are the relationship forged, because if I treat him as my friend or my father or as my brother or as every other way, the people around, in everyone in the family is also my connection. So I started to build that connection with the family more easily the more I started to build a relationship with him. And so that became my strength, the family. So if you ask me today, my friend circle, I have a great rapport with all the BK family friends. Yet I had a good circle of friends in my college. But today, if I have to say, we hardly connect each other, the college friends. Once in a while, we just chat. They are all moved on in their life. But in my BK family, even if I connect after 6 months with someone, I connect as if where we left off. So that relationship in the family is very strong because the relationship with him is very strong. So if I am um transparent to him, if I am what I'm actually inside, I'm the same outside with him. I try to give the same with the family. So, as I said, there are parts of me which might not be the great ones. At least they're seeing the truth of me, and that will help me overcome the challenges of not being artificial or masked, if I have to say the better word. So, for me, that works is, you know, mm, knowing where and what I have to speak at times with people, but knowing that what I don't have to hide at all with him. So with the people, at times I cannot open out or talk everything, or I can't be, you can be judged very easily in the family as well. But I have to not mix that same with him, that when I talk to him, I know that I'm not going to be judged. So I don't carry forward that same attitude with him. So that is very important in my growth. So simple ritual which I do um, is you leave in the morning for work. So I'm a corporate world. I leave in the morning. I talk to him and leave. And when I reach office, I have a frame there of him. I have a Brahma Baba, I would say. And I talk to him and say, take over. When I come back, I follow the same thing. I had a good day. So when I leave, I talk as a friend. When I reach at my workplace, I treat him as what would I say, a better word, a business partner, a father, a mentor. But the relationship in the home, when I leave and I come back, is more like, someone who is not only a friend, but an elder brother or someone who is actually watching over you and saying him, listen, I'm going now. I came back. Today was a right that day. I even talk to him about certain things which are not connected to me. That is how I think it should be. Like, you have someone to share. So that's how my relationship in essence is.
Thank you. Thank you, Piyush Bhai. Again, very deeply honest and open, and touches the heart when somebody speaks from that space inside them. I was intrigued by your conversation with Baba in the car as you listened to the music. Do you also sing to Baba?
I do. I sing along. So, especially some of the Bollywood songs, I would say. So
And is your backing vocals perhaps?
it's as long as the windows are up, it's okay.
Thank you. I'm wondering if we could just bring all three panelists onto the screen together as we're coming up to the final part of our evening. And really a big thanks as they're coming on screen to all of you for sharing so openly, what's in the heart. And it really helps to hear each one's own process and how you relate to Baba. And yeah, could we just spotlight everyone? The three speakers, we could spotlight all of them. All right, great. Spolina and Alicia. So as we're coming up to wrap up, is there anything you'd like to say to each other?
Well, I was happy to see both of them because I used to meet them for the youth retreats in Madhuban. So whenever I come in this gathering, I remember Madhuban. It's lovely to see you after a long time.
I think the same here. It's always good to see you both, and even Yogesh Bhai. I
Yes.
think I just recently met Nadisha. I think where we met in Feb itself,
In Madhuban.
in Madhuban.
Yeah. You know, I
In
think,
IYF days, Nadisha used to be our teacher. You know, she used to be telling us that, listen, guys, you need to get back into your rooms. And she was like a superintendent, if I have to say.
you know, I think that there was those, you know, we joke about it, but those memories and those experiences we had in Madhuban together during the International Youth, you know, Forum days, the young adult days, you know, I don't think we realized the foundation it was building for us until, you know, we exceeded the age limit, but I don't think like I truly grasped what that time we spent together in Madhuban did for us. I know for many of us, particularly myself, it created a sense of belonging. It opened up my relationship with Baba, but also, you know, we built friendships, you know, and even when we don't talk for many years and then we see each other, you know, here's our family, how fortunate we are. And so I was so happy when I saw that the three of us were going to be together today. And of course, Yogesh Bhai, for having, you know, for thinking of us, you know, to bring us together.